me now. Okay, so we're gonna need your phone, so whoever's got a phone on you, please take it up. In the meantime, that would be helpful. Thank you.
So RSA needs to see it both. And then obviously.
Alright, so let's talk about the linking node in Yatspec. So for those of you who don't know me, I've been doing this stuff for 9 years now, and 5 of which was TDD pair programming and similar practices. Is anybody here who doesn't use Yatspec? Okay, so if you guys are interested, you might find some information on I've written something like a quick start to Yatspec a few years back, and you might be a bit bored here because this is for heavy Yatspec users. So sorry about that. A bit of warm up. So if we get our phones on, if you could go for me, guys, to govolt.at, please. Govolt.at, and enter that code 706863, please. It's a warm up for now. Govolt.at 706863. Yeah? Any end results? Nobody's clicking?
7068.
63. Cool. Yeah? Alright, perfect. Awesome. Yeah, it's working. Alright, let's do it now. Thank you very much for that. Where's the presentation? So the problem I wanted to talk about today is acceptance tests. So myself, I've had the opportunity to work with many acceptance tests in the past, and I do that on a daily basis as well. And the problem I find myself in is I find it very hard to find the right acceptance test. Then when I find the acceptance test, I find it hard to understand it. And then make the decision whether to modify it, if I need to make a decision like that, to modify it, delete it, or add a new test. And especially in complex domains, I found that most of the time I'm going to be spending in the acceptance test actually, and only a fraction of the time I'm spending looking at the production code to make the application do whatever it's supposed to be doing. So maybe it's worth thinking about how we could actually optimize and maybe focus on optimizing our acceptance test rather than optimizing the production code and time being spent there. So basically the question I want to ask ourselves is, how do we save time by looking at the acceptance test? So an obvious point would be to write better acceptance tests, right? And we all do that. We want to write tests that are easier to find, easier to understand, and easier to maintain. That way, we're going to save time, right? Easier said than done. It's not easy, right? Everybody tries to do that on a daily basis. It's not that easy. There's plenty of best practices you can follow. I'm sure most of you guys, or all of you guys, actually follow most of that stuff already. But what I wanted to talk about today is one more tool into your toolbox that might help you save some time while working on your acceptance test. So keeping in mind that this isn't going to solve all of your problems, it's just one more tool into your toolbox of stuff you do while working on the acceptance test. And the thing is, hooray, the linking node. So what it does is links in Yatspec from one test to another test. And it helps you remove duplication and helps you to find tests easier. So if you got many acceptance tests and they're kind of connected, most of the time in complex domain that's going to happen quite often. You're going to be able to link from one test to the other. So that for sometimes remove duplication and sometimes help to find the real test you're looking for easier. And it kind of fits into the single responsibility principle and the drive principles, don't repeat yourself. So let's have a look at the code. Let's pick example. All right. No, we don't want any linking messages yet. All right. So what we've got here is an It's an application that doesn't do much really yet. It's going to be making loads of money in the future, but today it doesn't yet. But what we can see in here is we've got two acceptance tests being run. Yes, we've got two acceptance tests being run on this application. The first one, let's have a look at what this application actually does. When a notification that stock price dropped has been received, so receiving some notification about stock price drops, then a bidding request is sent. So basically receiving a notification and we're going to be sending a request somewhere. Alright, so my question to you guys is, where do those notifications come from and how do those notifications work? Because that's what I'm interested in. And just by looking at this test, it's not that easy to understand. You can see that we've received a notification, we're sending a request somewhere, but I don't understand how these notifications, where do those notifications we're talking about come from actually? Fortunately, this is a very small application, so we've noticed we've got another acceptance test. And if we look at that guy, we're going to see that this guy actually describes how the notifications work. So we're going to see that when it says when stock price drops, then a notification is sent. And we have a look at the captured inputs and outputs. We're going to see, now we can see how this works. So we get events from Reuters, we respond to those events, and we kind of translate them to HTTP invocations to the same application, basically. It's translation from Reuters events to HTTP traffic based on some rules. So this is a very simplistic example, only to test, very small application. You can imagine in a large application, you're going to have hundreds of these test files and thousands of acceptance tests. So how could we improve this? We can annotate that, let's say the test, for example. You could use it on a method as well, with a linking note. I'm not sure how much you can see in here. Let's try a Control-Shift-A toggle presentation, of course. We can try a linking note. We're going to say the message is on the main test. Notifications are described in $S, which is going to, this is the formatting, right? We can replace the $S with a link to a class, and let's link to the other class, and the other class name is Stock Observer Test, I believe. And now if we run all the tests, and refresh this guy, we can see at the top we got a new note that says notifications are described in Stock Observer Test, and we can click through that stuff and we're going to arrive in the test we're looking for. Yeah, so as I say, this is very simplistic, only two tests, very small application. Imagine you're working with an application which got hundreds of these files and thousands of acceptance tests. So yeah, to summarize, one thing you could take away from this talk today is there's a linking note, and it's one more tool in your toolbox. When you're working with Yatspec, it might help you to remove duplication, find tests easier, and many other things. Basically, this new linking note might help you to save time. And it's available on Yatspec 1.13, so you go ahead and start using it today if you want. The credits go to the whole team. It wasn't just me. I don't think I'm actually in any of the comments for this stuff to Yatspec, but yeah, I was working on it as well. And yeah, feedback time, guys. So if you could have a look at the phones again, please, for me. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to govote.at and enter the code 568071, please.
What's this for?
So you'll see in a second. So this is anonymous. I'm interested, how helpful was it for you? and ways we could improve this presentation.
We have to wait for you to go to the next question.
I'm not sure actually. And please be honest, this is anonymous, so you don't have to get tense if you don't feel like I deserve it. Presentation
Wait
is
for the presenter to show the next question and click refresh.
Alright, so let's wait for a bit, let's see how this goes, and then I'm going to proceed to the next question.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm happy. Yeah. No ones. Yeah, there's the one. Where's the ones? Alright, what should I improve? So we're going to leave it like that. And yeah, any questions, guys?
You said it works on methods as well.
Yeah, it works everywhere. And it works with Jira links as well. If you got the Jira links implemented right now in your code base, you can use it with a Jira link rendering as well.
So you say like the I was going to say NITS number,
yeah,
but the NIM number or whatever,
yeah,
and you don't need to put the URL in those.
Yeah, so this isn't kind of come out of the box, obviously, because Yatspec doesn't know you're using NITS, right?
Yeah.
So you have to, you can look at our code base and see how it's done.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's in our code base and it's working.
Can you make it a table test except constants?
Yeah, we want to do that as well. Yeah.
Send over a list. Is that?
Yeah. So the problem with constant is it's you have to change the way Yatspec works, right? Because it looks at the Java file, it doesn't look like the class file, right?
How do you add multiple links?
Multiple links, yeah. So a good question. You just have it's like a string format, basically, right? You're going to use multiple S's, blah blah blah, another S, and then in the links, I'm used to this keyboard. And the links, it has to be an array probably or something like that, right? Yeah, I don't know how to specify it, probably something like that. And it's linked to string class, right? Yeah. It's linking to a string, right? So that's how it multiples. All right, thanks guys.